What if I told you the first queen to rule England in her own right was not Elizabeth, but her half-sister Mary? Yes, it was a frosty February day in the year 1516 when Mary, the first surviving child of King Henry VIII and his wife Catherine of Aragon, entered the world. The birth of a royal child, especially a potential heir, is always an event of political significance. But for Mary, it was more than that. Her birth was a ray of hope for the Tudor dynasty, a promise of continuity and stability. However, with that hope came immense pressure. Born into a world where power and privilege were a given, Mary also had to face the dangers and deceptions that lurked in the shadows of the royal court. Mary was born into a world of power and privilege, but also a world fraught with danger and deception. But as a young girl, Mary's life took a dramatic turn. The tranquility of her royal childhood was shattered when King Henry VIII, her father, sought to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, Mary's mother. Frustrated by his wife's inability to bear him a son and heir, Henry VIII decided to seek a new queen, which led to a monumental shift in England's religious landscape and in Mary's personal life. The king's decision didn't just dissolve a marriage, it demoted Mary from a princess to a mere lady. The daughter of the king, once a cherished royal, was now treated as an outcast in her own family. The court, once her playground, became a maze of political maneuvering and tension. Mary, who was once being groomed for a future as a queen, was now stripped of her title, her dignity, and her place in the line of succession. No longer a princess, Mary's status was further complicated by the death of her mother, Catherine. The woman who had been her rock, her source of comfort and strength during these trying times, was no longer there. Catherine's death was a devastating blow to Mary, leaving her feeling isolated and alone. These were not just political changes, they were deep, personal losses that left a profound impact on Mary. The emotional toll was immense. It was a time of turmoil and heartbreak, a time when she was forced to question her identity and her worth. But there's a strength in Mary that's often overlooked. In the face of adversity, she remained resolute. She refused to deny her mother's legitimacy or her own right to the throne. Despite the loss, the humiliation, and the heartache, Mary held her head high. Mary may have been dethroned and disowned, but she was far from defeated. This was just the beginning of her journey, a journey that would take her from the depths of despair to the heights of power, from a dethroned princess to the first reigning queen of England. After years of turmoil and uncertainty, Mary's fortunes were about to change. In the wake of King Henry VIII's death, the English throne was thrown into a whirlwind of succession. The young and sickly Edward VI, Mary's half-brother, was installed as king, but his reign was fleeting, marked by religious strife and political instability. His premature death in 1553 opened a new chapter in England's history. Edward's untimely demise was followed by an audacious power grab by the Duke of Northumberland, who sought to secure Protestant rule. He placed his daughter-in-law, Lady Jane Grey, on the throne. But Lady Jane's reign was as short as it was tumultuous, lasting a mere 9 days. The English populace, still largely Catholic, rejected this Protestant usurper. They rallied around Mary, their rightful queen, a figurehead of resilience and determination. Mary's ascension wasn't handed to her on a silver platter. She had to fight for it against odds that seemed insurmountable. But Mary was not one to back down. She was a woman of steel, forged in the fires of adversity, hardened by a lifetime of struggle. She rallied her supporters, marched on London, and claimed her birthright. Mary's rise to the throne wasn't just a victory for her, but for the Catholic faith she held dear. Her ascension signaled a return to Catholicism after years of Protestant rule, a shift that would have profound implications for England's religious landscape. Mary's journey to the throne was a testament to her resilience and determination. She was a woman who had faced the worst life could throw at her, from the loss of her mother and her status as a princess, to the threat of execution and the constant fear of usurpation. But she had weathered these storms, emerged stronger, and seized the throne that was rightfully hers. Finally, Mary was where she believed she belonged, on the throne of England. She had overcome the odds, defied expectations, and written her own destiny. And now, the real challenges of ruling a divided nation awaited her. Mary's reign was one marked by religious turmoil and political strife. As the first queen regnant of England, Mary then faced a series of challenges, but none more so than her efforts to restore Catholicism in a kingdom divided by faith. Mary was a devout Catholic, and her ascension to the throne in 1553 marked the beginning of a fervent campaign to return England to the Catholic fold. She reversed the religious reforms of her father, Henry VIII, and half-brother Edward VI, reinstating the heresy laws and reviving old statutes against Lollardy. Her efforts, however, were met with resistance, particularly from Protestants who had thrived under Edward's reign. In her quest to reestablish Catholicism, Mary made a controversial decision that would forever stain her legacy: the persecution of Protestants. Over the course of her 5-year reign, nearly 300 Protestants were burned at the stake for heresy. This brutal approach to dealing with religious dissenters earned her the nickname Bloody Mary. But religious strife was not the only challenge Mary faced. Her marriage to Philip of Spain in 1554 was another contentious point of her reign. Many Englishmen were wary of this alliance, fearing that it would subordinate England to Spain and bring about the loss of national independence. Despite assurances that Philip's powers would be limited, the marriage was deeply unpopular, contributing to a series of rebellions, including the Wyatt Rebellion in 1554. In addition to religious and political challenges, Mary's reign was marked by economic and social struggles. England was in a state of financial disarray, the treasury depleted by costly wars and ineffective policies. Mary attempted to reform the currency, but her efforts were largely unsuccessful, and economic hardship continued to plague the kingdom. Socially, Mary's reign was a time of change and uncertainty. The population was growing rapidly, leading to increased urbanization and social mobility. However, this growth also led to a rise in poverty and unemployment, resulting in social unrest. Despite these challenges, Mary's reign was not without its successes. She re-established the authority of the monarchy, strengthened the navy, and laid the groundwork for England's later colonial expansion. Moreover, her reign marked a significant milestone in English history, proving that a woman could rule in her own right. But these achievements were overshadowed by the darker aspects of her reign: the burning of Protestants, the unpopular marriage to Philip, and the economic and social struggles left a lasting impression, defining her reign in the eyes of history. Mary's reign was a tumultuous one, fraught with controversy and conflict. Yet, it was also a reign that left an indelible mark on England, shaping its religious, political, and social landscape in ways that continue to resonate today. As the first Queen Regnant of England, Mary's legacy is a complex one. When Mary I passed away in November of 1558, the throne passed to her half-sister Elizabeth, but the echoes of Mary's reign would reverberate through the hallways of history, leaving an indelible mark on England and the world at large. Mary's reign, often characterized by her religious zealotry, is perhaps most infamous for the persecution of Protestants. Dubbed Bloody Mary by her detractors, her attempts to return England to Catholicism resulted in the execution of hundreds of Protestants, a dark chapter that has forever stained her reputation. Yet, it's crucial to remember that Mary lived in an era of religious turmoil, a time when the stakes were high, and the lines between faith and politics were blurred. But Mary's legacy isn't solely defined by her religious fervor. Her reign marked a significant turning point in English history. As the first woman to successfully claim the English throne in her own right, she shattered a centuries-old glass ceiling. Her ascension to the throne was a testament to her tenacity, her courage, and her unwavering belief in her right to rule. Moreover, Mary's reign paved the way for future female rulers. Her half-sister Elizabeth, often celebrated as one of England's greatest monarchs, might not have had the opportunity to rule had Mary not proven that a woman could wield power just as effectively as a man. And in the centuries that followed, other women following in Mary's footsteps would ascend to the throne, forever changing the landscape of monarchy. Mary's reign was a time of great change and uncertainty. It was a period marked by religious conflict, political intrigue, and groundbreaking shifts in the perception of women's roles in society. And while her methods were often brutal and her policies divisive, there's no denying the impact she had on her country and the world. Mary I's reign was a time of great change and uncertainty, but her legacy as England's first ruling queen remains undisputed.